Alright, so let me adjust the mic. Alright, so this video is to just for showing you, how to use um, the tools that we use in this class, but using Windows. Alright, there are a few things we need to look up, so we're gonna use a browser. And the first thing we want to look up is to enable extension in Windows. And obviously it depends on which version you're dealing with, but they're all about the same. They're all very similar. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to follow these instructions and turn on and make sure that extensions are visible when you are using the GUI. Because if you don't see the extensions, things can get very, very confusing really fast. So you follow these steps, and whatever your operating system is, Windows 7, Windows 10, whatever version you're using, follow the instructions and turn on extensions. So that's step number one. Step number two is to know where your files are. So in the File Explorer, I can tell that my Logisim 310.jar is in my Documents subfolder, and then there's a CISP 310 subfolder under that, and this is under the CISP 310 subfolder. I can also go to my Downloads folder, and I can see that my CSV is already there, and so are my circ files. And this is, ignore this one. I can delete that one because that one is to be generated. So it's always a good idea to make sure that your files and also along the entire path, you don't have anything that has spaces in it. It's not like you cannot have a folder name or file that has a space in it, but it does complicate things a little bit when you have spaces. So if you have spaces, you have to quote the entire file path, including the file name, when you do things on the command line interface. So now it's time to start up the command line interface. So when you're here, this part here is telling you where your current working directory is. Your CWD is at the user home folder. So so that means it's probably a good idea to specify the full path to everything that we are trying to access. So the first thing is to make sure Java is installed. So if you type java-v, java-version, it will show you the version of the Java that is installed. 1.8 is good. Okay, so now that we know Java is installed and it can run from the command line, then we specify java-jar, and we just want to find where logisim 310.jar is. So in my case, it is in my documents folder, and because my current working directory is already quote-unquote the home folder, and documents is a subfolder under that, so that means I can just type documents and backslash. In Windows, we use backslash by default to separate components of a path. And then I have a CISP 310 as a subfolder, and then we have logisim 310.jar. There's a little typo here, logisim, there we go. And then we can press the enter key, and everything works because that is the correct path. So now we can close logisim because I'm just trying to verify I can get to the tools one by one, step by step. Now if you make a typo, okay, so let's just say that I make a typo here, or I forgot to specify the CISP 310 subfolder altogether, it will come back and complain that it cannot find the jar file. So when you see this kind of message, it's time to go to the graphical user interface and go to where you think you have put your file, and find that, oh, it's not here, and then you go into the subfolder, then you find it. So now you know the path to logisim 310 is over here. Now some of you may be asking, what if I have a path that has spaces in it? If that is the case, use double quotes, okay, around the entire path like that. It will still work. Um, right. So it doesn't work because I forgot about the CISP310 subfolder here. And so if you don't have any spaces, putting double quotes around the entire path doesn't hurt anything. But if you have a folder name that has a space or some strange characters in it, putting the double quotes around the entire thing, makes it safe to specify the path that way. All right, so the next thing we want to add is to add the specification of processor 0003.circ. So I would do it once without the CLI, make sure it start up okay, because if it doesn't start up okay because the ALU and regbank circ files are not found, then you need to fix that first. And then you save processor 0003.circ in the GUI mode, and then you exit the GUI mode, then everything should be okay at that point. I'm going to show you what I mean by that, because some people are going to go like, I have no idea what you just said. Okay, so let me just show you what I mean by that, because I can just re-download this file, and that will break things. And I want to break things intentionally, so I can show you how to fix it. Alright, so getting back to not this one, but this one over here. There we go. So now the next thing we need to specify is where the processor 0003.circ file is located. In my case, because it is in my downloads folder, which is in LWT, and I'm already in LWT as my current working directory, so I can just start with typing downloads without any slashes or backslashes in front of it. Okay, so because I'm specifying what we call a relative path, and a backslash to separate the name of the folder from the name of the file, which is processor 0003.circ. Remember to end the double quote. Now, in this case, I don't really need the double quotes, but putting the double quotes in doesn't hurt anything. So now I press the enter key, and everything works, which is kind of surprising because I was expecting it not to work, that I have to go find ALU and regbank, those two additional files. Alright, well, if it works, it works. Now we can make the command a little bit longer by specifying -tty table. So this tells Logisim to not start in GUI mode, but start it up in command line interface mode. So if you do something like this, then you also have to specify the -load, which is here to specify where I can find the RAM file. Now the RAM file in CSV format is also in the downloads folder. So I'm putting in the double quotes even though it's not needed. So under the downloads subfolder, I specify main.csv, which is how I named that file, and then double quote again to end the beginning double quote. Press the enter key. If everything works okay, you will see something like this. Okay, and that obviously is not what we want to do, because we want to capture the output into a TSV file. So we repeat the command again. This time we redirect the output to main.tsv. But when you do this, you have to be careful, because what you're doing is you're creating a file called main.tsv, not in the downloads subfolder, but under the LWT home folder itself, because we did not specify any path to main.tsv that is created in the current working directory. So what we need to do, if you want to put it in a specific place like downloads, okay, then we have to move it to downloads /main.tsv, press the enter key. So now when we go to the file manager, we should find main.tsv in the download folder. Okay, so we go to the downloads folder, and we can see main.tsv to be also here. Now, if you did not turn on file extension, you will see two main, and it's going to be super confusing because it's hiding extensions that are known to the system. Now, what extensions are known to the system? That all depends on what application you have installed. So that's why the very first step was to turn on extension. And by the way, I found out why it worked the first time. Even though I was expecting Logisim to ask me where those two additional files are located, and that's because I already had processor 0003 before this run of the experiment, and the new file that was downloaded was renamed with parentheses 1, in it without telling me. Okay, so this is rather annoying. So I'm going to delete the one that worked and rename the one that did not work to the proper file name. So we'll go ahead and rename this one. No, I suppose I can change it here, maybe. Oh, okay, that works. And then we click OK. That should also rename the file, but that was not what I intended to do earlier. All right, so now this one should not work. Okay, this is good because now we can go back and show you how to fix that problem in case you encounter it. Okay, so going back to the previous step of just trying to get the processor loaded into Logisim. So the first time you do this, you will see something like this, okay, because it doesn't know where to find the ALU or the regbank sub-circuit or library files. So you just click OK here, okay, so don't be impatient, okay, so click OK, and then what you want to do is to help Logisim find where ALU is located. So ALU is over here, and you can see what it is asking you to do. It's asking you to locate alu.circ, and so you locate it, highlight it, click select, and then it will complain about the other file missing, which is regbank.circ. Do exactly the same thing. Read carefully what the program is asking you to do, which is to locate regbank.circ. Select the actual file, regbank.circ, and then click select. So this way, processor 0003 is going to start up normally. So don't exit, okay? Remember to save it first, because when you save processor 0003, it will also save the correct paths to ALU and also regbank. So from here on, the next time we do this, it won't ask us those questions anymore because it has saved the locations of those two additional library files. Alright, so this is pretty much the entire short presentation of how to use the tools in Windows. Now, for those of you who want to know more, okay, you might want to check out, just use a search engine and find out, how to use the command line in Windows. And I think that's going to be helpful, okay, just in general, that's going to be a helpful thing to learn. So you just look up, Windows CLI tutorial or something like that. Okay, you can substitute CLI with CMD for the most part, and it will locate probably about the same resources. And I will leave it up to you guys to do this on your own time because, I mean, frankly, I was expecting people to know this stuff already by the time they get to this class. Um, that assumption turned out not to be true for everyone in the class. It was true for some people in the class, but not everybody. And that's the whole reason why we have this video. And also, this is something that I was trying to encourage people to do from week 1 of this entire semester. And I only got people to ask, certain people to ask me how to do this, like now, which is week, what, 11, 12, ish. So, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm making this video. Hopefully it is helpful. And that's all I'm gonna say. Alrighty, good luck.